We are live,
Oh
and we are
yeah.
on the right day. It is a Monday, 7 o'clock, going live, Eastern Standard Time. It's your sports show, favorite sports show. Welcome to the Academy Sports Show. Right here, if you're watching this on YouTube or on Facebook Live, we appreciate it. Your comments, comment live. We'll get them right on the screen. Get everything that you want off your chest. Today's the day. We got a lot lined up for you today. But first, we want to make sure you're following us and in tune with everything that we do. One major thing we need you to do is go ahead to the YouTube, type in Academy Sports Show, find our faces, subscribe to our faces, and trigger that bell. That way you get a notification every time we go live. I got my notification. Did you? I
I
got
got my
mine.
notification.
I got my notification because we are live. If you want to follow us on Facebook, you can do so at Andre Douglas or Joe Williams, but we rather you go to YouTube. That way we can see your comments live. And we want you to follow us on IG, man. IG is a great mode for people to get in tune with exactly what we do here on the show, our little clips and things of that nature. So make sure you find us on Instagram at Academy Sports Show. Subscribe to us there, as well as Facebook and everything that is Academy Sports Show via Podcast Land, which is Apple iTunes, the Purple Podcast app, and as well as SoundCloud. So I'm your host, Andre Douglas. Sitting next to me is your host, Joe Williams.
What's good, everybody? Welcome to the show, man. I love it how y'all just come pouring right in as soon as we start the show. Already, we got people in the building. Nick Bowers, welcome to the show, brother. Good to see you. Good to see your beautiful face on the picture. He got his notification. He is in the building, and we see that others have joined us on the different modes here on YouTube and on Facebook. So we appreciate it. Hopefully, we don't get botted this week. I'm
Oh,
really
man.
praying that we don't get
Change your
botted.
password, Joe. Change your password.
Yeah, it's probably safe if y'all maybe watch this boy on YouTube and not in my Facebook live feed. Clearly, but we want to welcome everybody to the show, man. We're gonna dive right in. Big show for you this week. As you know, as always, we always open up with a couple of just kind of news and notes, what's been going on. Kind of those top headlines. So we're gonna cover those real quick, and then we got a lot of college football and a lot of NFL football to talk about. Week 7 was interesting in the NFL. It closes out tonight with the Bears and the Rams. So we're going to share with you our thoughts from the week. Also give you our Power 5 right now in NFL. Tonight's teams don't really play in either one of our Power 5. So we figured,
Don't matter whether they win or lose.
yeah, we might as well just go ahead and just knock that out anyway. And then, of course, the Big Ten opened up this past weekend. So college football is now, as far as the Power 5 conferences, just about whole. We still got the Pac-12 to start. I believe they start in the coming week. So we'll give you our thoughts from some games from the Big Ten this weekend. Of course, also from college football as a whole. You heard my crystal ball prediction last week. It was real outrageous about Ohio State losing to Nebraska, and I was in it for like the first half. So
The first half.
just want to point that out. Just want to point that out. But before we get into the specifics of those things, just some headlines from the day you may have heard. OBJ, man, done for the season. Torn ACL. We're going to share our thoughts about that, I'm sure, because we got to talk a little bit of NFL. We got to talk Browns. We got to talk Lions because the Lions won. Dre, we should get the Lions some love. Yep. So but that's the big news of the day. OBJ tore his ACL. He tore it on a interception return where he tried to jump on my man's back, I guess. I don't know. If you check out the replay of how it all went down, I don't exactly know what he was trying to accomplish. But already there's been a lot of debate on whether or not, the Browns are actually a better team without him. So, that'll be interesting to see. Also, Big Ten opened up this weekend. Ohio State opened up with a large victory. However, they were challenged in the first half. Maybe had to work a little rust off, but they opened up the weekend by beating Nebraska. Other big-time wins over the weekend, the big Saturday night game was Michigan and Minnesota. Michigan came out. News and notes, Michigan has a quarterback, looks like. First game, but it looks like he's a quarterback. He looks legit. Definitely has the arm, got the legs, and they came out, ran the ball, and they beat a Minnesota team that was coming off of an 11-2 season. The biggest upset of the weekend came from Indiana. Indiana beat Penn State on a controversial 2-point conversion. Did that ball hit the ground before it hit the pylon? Did it hit the pylon and the ground? Did it cross the goal line and hit the ground? I mean, that was just
It was great effort either way.
Yeah, he stretched out 2.5, 3 yards just to get that play to happen, and Indiana beat Penn State. So next weekend, the big Penn State Ohio State matchup, unfortunately, is not as big of a matchup anymore. Also, from the NFL, very interesting things took place. We'll talk Lions and Falcons. If you're a Lions fan, I know you saw the end of that game. Matt Stafford drove your team down the field and got a win. But what everybody's talking about is how Todd Gurley fell into the end zone, maybe. He was supposed to down the ball, and he downed it at the 1, but the ball broke the plane.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, so that happened. Tampa Bay gets another win. Pittsburgh and Kansas City get wins. Pittsburgh beat Tennessee. That was the matchup of undefeated, and Pittsburgh beat Tennessee. So some very good, entertaining games in regards to the NFL this past weekend, which we'll get into as well. And then last but not least, interesting. I can't say his name, but there was a huge UFC fight this weekend, and Nurmagomedov, Khabib, thank you. He won in the second round of the UFC title bout, where he put my man in a nice, wonderful chokehold and put him to sleep, and then he retired after winning. So a lot of people are talking about how he went out as the man. He should be considered the GOAT or in the GOAT conversation for UFC. He finishes at 29-0 as a professional MMA fighter, and I believe it was 19-0 in UFC bouts, and he's barely lost a single round in all of the fights that he's had. So that was big news as well. And I'm seeing a post in my feed, Future GOAT Talk, although MJ is the greatest. Oh, interesting article has been just dropped into the comment section, so I have to check this out and see what that's all about. So those are just some of the headlines from the weekend and weekend in sports that was heavily filled with college ball and NFL. So let's get it.
Let's get it. Shout out to everybody in the comment section. The best thing you can do for the show to grow is to share. If you're via Facebook, just press share. Put some eyes on the caption and say, hey, everybody, come look at this. All your sports fans, and if you're watching via YouTube, you can share that as well on any social media platform, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, however you want. But the best way to help the show grow is go ahead and hit that share, the little arrow that go like that. Hit that. And check.
What does it do?
It's like a little curved arrow. It means share.
Yeah.
Yeah, hit that. All right, so as Joe already alluded to, man, the breakdown goes today. We're going to hit college football. Let everybody know how your favorite team did. We're going to break down some of the things that happened in the college football landscape. And then after that, we're going to go pivot over to the NFL, give our top 5 list. So make sure you formulate your top 5 list for your top 5 NFL teams. Like you said, the 2 teams playing tonight pretty much don't factor in on this, so we can go ahead and do that a little earlier before the season, before this week ends. All right, so let's go dive into it. Jared already says go blue. I got my U of M hoodie on too, Joel.
I already know.
Already said go blue. So he also said Indiana is always tough. I hate playing them. So let's go. Let's dive into the home team, man. And we're not talking about Michigan State.
Yeah. Just for fun, let's mention Michigan State real quick. It's not a lot to talk about. They lost. They lost to Rutgers.
Righty then. Rutgers
hasn't won a Big Ten football game since, I think, returning to the Big Ten.
Rutgers. Hey, D'Antonio knew when to leave.
Yes.
He saw the writing on the wall.
You got to know when to hold them and know when to fold them. And he folded and got out.
It's time to go.
Rutgers.
Shout out
lost. 7 turnovers. of which I believe there were 7 fumbles.
And Michigan State is always basketball.
Does it worry you though? It's Michigan State next weekend.
No,
rivalry game.
Not after that performance.
But the only thing they can do is they can go up. They can't get any lower than that, right?
No, not after that performance. They have 0 athletes, no skill position, quarterback's trash, defense a wet paper bag. This should be a fair. If you want to get one off, this is the one to get off. Go ahead and just put it on him. So whoever's in there can leave at least 1-0 in their career against Michigan State. Go ahead and put that on them for the last couple of years that we couldn't pop them.
So Michigan's favored by 24.
That's about right.
Is that about right?
That's about.
Are you comfortable with that? All right, those of you that are in the chat, are you comfortable with that, Michigan fans? Are you comfortable with them coming? This is how jaded we are. Look at Deuce's dad.
It still worries me.
I said the same thing. Like, I feel like I wanted them to be respectable this weekend because I feel like now they're coming into this game where now you got the whole, chip on your shoulder and all that, but then you look bad, so everybody's downing you. And now we start reading the press clippings and believing it, and you come out and you play down to the competition.
You lost to Rutgers, bro. You're trash. You're trash.
Rutgers is a better team this year.
You're trash. You lost to Rutgers. And then, two, soft pivot to Michigan, they looked really good. They looked good on all 3 phases. The defense was probably the most inspiring thing for me. 5 sacks, interception. Passes defended. The defense looked better to me than the offense. The running back by committee is somebody's got to figure that out. Who's your playmakers on the outside? But defensively, Michigan State can't hold a candle up to Michigan.
So I agree with you there that I think defensively we can dominate this game because they have no offensive line. Their quarterback's bad. Like I didn't even know this guy existed. The cupboard is definitely bare. So it's interesting to see. So I do think defensively this should be a very strong Don Brown game. And if the offense still needs time to get going, then definitely they'll have time in this game to do that. Right. I think from a running back by committee aspect, I think that's okay right now, but I think it does need to get figured out. I think the offensive line performed at a high level. I like the fact that they did this against a team that probably is going to finish second place in the Big Ten West because Wisconsin looks really, really good again. But Minnesota's not a bad football team. They definitely lost some key players on defense. I think that showed. Their quarterback's still a little antsy in the pocket. Bateman, to me, was unstoppable, even though they kept him from making too many big plays. It seemed like when he wanted to get open, he could, but the quarterback couldn't make the throws at the whole time. So the secondary is still a little skeptical, which scares me going, as you get into playing better competition. But offensively, I was actually wanting to see, even though I knew we were younger defensively, usually know that Don Brown defenses are going to be pretty consistent. They pressure very well. And although I was concerned about how does this offense look, and the biggest thing for me was Joe Milton. Like, you kept hearing about this guy. When he stepped on the field, it was like, whoa, look at his size, look at his talent. Yep. But I wanted to see him in a full game. And, man, I was impressed, one, by his ability to throw the football on target.
Yep.
I was also impressed about, even though he overthrew the deep ball, look how far he threw it. And then the other part of his game that I think is an equalizer for these better teams that we're going to run into that you have to account for is his ability to play with his legs. And finally, we have a team that has a quarterback that's athletic and that can stand in the pocket and can run out of the pocket. Yes.
Listen, since the inception of this show, I've said if you want to keep up with the Ohio States, you want to keep up with this conference, you need a dual running back or dual quarterback.
Yep.
And for some reason, they never wanted to get a dual quarterback. They wanted to get the stick in the mud, stand in the pocket, dink and dime quarterback. Ohio State adapted, and nobody else adapted with them, and that's why they just keep running through people. J.T. Barrett, Fields, kids over and over again. They become wide receivers in the league, but in college, they be balling. You got to do that to compete. And now we finally got a quarterback that can compete in this conference. Right. If you want to compete with Ohio State, you got to play their game, which is you got to have a mobile quarterback. Having somebody sit back and throw passes all day, it don't work. Ohio State recruits the best DBs. They recruit the best pass rushers. You got a guy sitting back there getting ate up every single game. So now you got a guy that can be elusive, can extend the play, and have your athletes go out and get the ball. So kudos to him, and I'm with Caden, bro. Go ahead and have a career game, bro, next week. Have a career game. Stamp your name on the Big Ten by beating a rival. A rival is a rival is a rival. Don't matter if it's a down year or not, because they'll do it to you.
I agree 100%. I agree 100%. Like it makes it makes the offense dangerous in today's college football. If you look at all the guys at all these schools, for the most part, you're looking at mobile quarterbacks, guys that can leave the pocket and run, guys that you got to respect, that guys that you have to game plan for that. That makes a big difference, and he looks like the type of guy that could make everybody better around him. The fact that at first I was a little skeptical because I'm thinking like I want to see some design runs for him. Like I want to almost see kind of that Cam Newton style offense where you pull a guard and he runs behind that guard, and then they start pulling that out, and I'm like, all right, this is good. Now you're showing me the balance of it. Yeah. And he makes good decisions with the football so far. He didn't throw, if he had the tight end underneath, he threw it to the tight end underneath. If he had the big play up top, he tried to go up top and show you that he's not afraid to extend the field. So I'm excited, but I want to temper that a little bit because it's still Michigan State week, and I feel real weird about this. Like I felt like I texted Ralph during the game and said I'm cautiously optimistic right now. Like I feel weird though.
Yeah, it's been a while since it's been a Michigan State team that's projected to be this bad. I mean,
yeah, they're really bad.
So I understand the skepticism, but you got to start drinking the Kool-Aid, Doc. Sooner or later, go ahead, drink up. It's a good week.
Right. It looks like we're having some type of trouble on my Facebook page, but this is not botting trouble. It's just all of a sudden the video's not there. So if you're in my Facebook page, please check it. Please jump over to jump over to the YouTube.
Over to the YouTube page, please, please, please. Yeah. So while he's fixing that, listen. The biggest. Everybody here is mostly a Michigan fan, a lot of state people, but Ohio State is always going to be the big dog. You got to undo the big dog. And my crystal ball prediction last week was Justin Fields is going to absolutely blow away all his opponents this year to the fact that where it's not even a question that he would be the number one overall draft pick. Do I still want Trevor Lawrence? Of course I still want Trevor Lawrence. I've been pining over this kid for years now. But it don't look like we're getting the first pick. But I would still say the dual threat quarterback is the way it goes. Look at that battle last night. I mean, that game last night was epic between the Seahawks and the Cardinals. I have not been the biggest Kyler Murray fan, but the boy is balling. They figured out an offense around him, his skill set. They gave him the ball, and he's a gamer. The interview with Hopkins before the game started, he was telling something about Kyler Murray that nobody knows. The boy commands an offense.
Yeah,
and I get the same feeling out of Justin Fields after this whole thing about them not playing, being shut down by COVID, and him sparking a lot of his teammates and a lot of the people in the conference. He has leadership qualities. So his leadership qualities with his skill set, also being a dual threat quarterback, I definitely see him going number one in the league if he continues at this pace. And look, Ohio State up here putting up extra touchdowns on people.
And apologizing for it.
So I see him. He can easily average 3 touchdowns a game in these 6 games that they got. So
I don't think the media is going to let that happen. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think Trevor Lawrence is the darling of the number one pick. Right? I think Justin Fields unfortunately is fighting for the number 2 spot, and I think it's a spot he will command. I think he's deserving of that. But I just think everybody loves Trevor Lawrence so much. And I mean, you also have to give it to Trevor Lawrence. He's giving you 3 years of consistency.
Right.
The dude's been in the big game and won it and lost it. So I think it would take Ohio State beating Clemson in the college football playoff in order to unseat Trevor Lawrence as the number 1 quarterback. I think it's going to take that type of performance.
Which isn't out the realm of possibility.
Oh, no, not at all. It's definitely, I mean, you had the wide receiver at Alabama go down this weekend with a broken ankle. So you got to see how they're going to perform as they lose a player, even though they kind of plug the next guy in. Clemson still looks great. There's a big matchup with Clemson and Notre Dame coming up. That'll be fun to watch, but nobody really believes in Notre Dame like that. And so, I mean, Ohio State is definitely still the favorite. I mean, after this first weekend, that's what Dre calls them too. That 11 said I call Trevor Sunshine from Remember the Titans. After this weekend, does the first weekend give you any type of hope, or does the first weekend show you that there's a team that could challenge Ohio State?
Well, there's always Alabama. Like you said, now they're a little hurt. You mean like Big Ten wise?
Yeah, is there a Big Ten team that you think can challenge Ohio State?
No, not really. I mean, Wisconsin's quarterback is going to be out now for the next 21 days because he got COVID.
Right.
So you expect them, to lose one of those 2 games. It's pretty much Michigan at this point. Penn State plays them, but they're not in a position to unrank them. And then if you going head to head and losing to a team like that, Ohio State they have every tool to beat you. So you pretty much you got to catch them on the perfect day, perfect time, perfect situation, to beat them. And people talk about Coach A, but I mean, so far he's just a cardboard cutout of Urban Meyer. So, and then he has his own coaching style. So I don't really see anybody really contending with Ohio State, and that includes Michigan.
Yeah, I mean, right now, it's way too early. I mean, but it doesn't look like it. Even the fandom in me won't allow me to say anything crazy like that. Yeah, just that 11 seed. I don't know. Maybe they'll lose a game there. Supposedly, like Purdue a couple years ago. Yeah, I mean, Ohio State hasn't had that issue in a while, right? I mean, they used to have that one game. They would every once in a while, like every year or 2, they would have a hiccup game. But it seems like it would happen more to Michigan now than it has to Ohio State. They seem to be really prepared for everybody all the time now. At the end of the day, man, I feel like, is it possible that this Michigan team could grow into a formidable opponent? Yes. I think for a couple teams like a Wisconsin, maybe this Penn State game was a hiccup game, first game situation with COVID-19 is 2020. Indiana is dangerous, so they're on their schedule. So, I mean, I think there are teams that, to your point, could catch them on the right day. But right now, coming out of week 1, I'm not ready to just have this mindset of, like, the reality of me says no. The fandom in me says, hey, I'm like, KJ, let's win every year. We're going to beat Ohio State. But, yeah.
I can believe, too, but, for the sake of the show, because everything is recorded, Juggernaut is a juggernaut. And, I would have to be wrong on the dethroning instead of going out on
right.
My record stands to be better that way than to go the other way.
Right, exactly. I understand. All right.
Any other big stories out of college football? Like you said, the Alabama receiver, breaks his ankle on the first play of the first game. That's really tough.
Yeah, did you see the Nick Saban interview about it, where he made the comment saying he should have brought it out? Some people didn't like that. I mean, I think that's just the coach just kind of talking at the time. There wasn't.
I think that's a hindsight. Like, oh man, why did he have to bring it out? He wouldn't have got, I don't want him to get hurt, kind of thing. Not the he got hurt because he brought it out,
Right, right.
It was kind of a hindsight thing. Like, oh man, if he just didn't bring it out, he would have been
right.
okay, kind of thing. You got to give legendary coaches like that the benefit of the doubt.
Right. What about the Indiana game? Was that a 2-point conversion? What'd you think?
To be honest with you, I haven't seen it slow down, but from the game time that it showed me, it looked like it was good. I mean, the ball crossed the plane before it slipped out of his hand.
Yeah, the question was really, did it touch the ground before it crossed the plane? So nobody debates that. Did he get to the pylon? He did. But in the stretching, it looked like the back end of the football touched the ground out of bounds before the tip of the football hit the pylon. So I don't know. What do the listeners think? We guys are watching the show. If you saw the highlight, I was watching the game when it happened. I don't know. Like, I felt like at the moment it was a 2-point conversion. Then I felt like as they kept showing it over and over again, I was like, this feels like it's out of bounds. I think ultimately they didn't have enough to overturn, and ultimately that's what happened. Is it was called a touchdown on the field, so you got to go with it being a touchdown. So I don't know. I'm trying to see if I can find it.
I mean, I got it here. I don't know. Here.
You want to put it up?
Screen share. That one. I'm not going to share the audio. All right. Can you see it?
Yeah, put it in full screen.
All right.
Oh wait, hold on.
All right. So last play. Kid roll. Okay, come on, internet.
rolling. There it is. That looks like a touchdown from there.
Right.
I mean, it looks like a 2-point conversion from right there. But it looks like the back end of that football. Watch the back end of the football.
I don't know. Nah, I think that's good.
Oh, the back end of the ball touched. I feel like the back end of the ball touched the out of bounds, touched the white. The back end of the back nose of the ball.
No.
Seemed like it touched.
If the back end touched, the ball would have moved in his hand.
It did.
It don't move in his hand until it touches the pylon.
Watch. It's hitting the ground now. That's on the ground. It hasn't touched the pylon yet.
I think that's just that. It's like, okay. Now it's in the ground, but it's already touching the pylon.
But it already, listen. I'm not saying right or wrong. I'm just saying that's how close that thing was. Let's see what everybody's saying. Deuce that said, I thought it was out of bounds, but I hate Penn State so well. Nick said it was ruled a 2-point conversion, therefore it's a 2-point conversion. It means PSU lost. That's all that matters. I hear you. Ruling on the field stance is called. And then he gives you the I told you, and then he gives them the see you later. Slow down there, Indiana. He's giving them the bye wave, like I told you. Yeah, slow down there, kid. It's your first win since a top 10 opponent since 1987. Heat of the moment, right? But right. It was a good pick. A lot of people picked that as the game. It was a trap game to open the season. A lot of people had that pick. Like I was watching College Game Day, and a couple people picked it on there. Like they picked Indiana over Penn State. It's just like it just seemed like perfect storm. You got a Penn State team that is consistently good every year, but you know that they don't have as many weapons, and you have an Indiana team that won 8 games last year, and that program's been kind of building year over year. And I'm scared of playing them too, and I think we get them on the road this year. I think we're going there, and it's definitely they play the big schools tough all the time.
Okay. All right. Well, put your final thoughts down in the chat, but I pretty much think everybody's going to pick Michigan over Michigan State. But you never know.
Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah,
But put your scores down. I want to see how confident you are in Michigan State. I guess that's a better question.
Yeah. How bad is this going to be?
In Michigan State? I'm gonna take the points. You said 29. I'm taking
24.
24. I'm taking the points on that. I take Michigan in the points. I feel like Caden said, man. I think this would be Milton's breakout. I think this would be his breakout game, solidify himself as a upper echelon Big Ten quarterback, and have Harbaugh feeling himself for a week or so.
Okay, so what's your score?
Whatever's 24 points. 14 plus 24 points, whatever.
30. So 38-14?
38-14, sure. That sounds right. Michigan by 40. I see you.
I'm gonna go.
Scores down.
I'm gonna go 31-17. Because I think the rivalry side of it throws a wrench in it a little bit, but I still think it's gonna be a come. I think the score is gonna look a little closer than what the game really was. Even 31-17, I think that's a late 17. So yeah, I think 31. I mean, heck, they just put up, what was that? They put up 40 against Minnesota. So, or is it close to 40? So
in games like this, you got to figure out what you're gonna work on. Like you said, you got to work on your back seven. So your corners, your safeties, start getting that confidence on locking guys down, man to man. Figure out your scheme in the backfield, and then the running back thing. Figure out who's going to be your lead back, because you literally got 4 guys toting the rock right now. Yeah. So you got to figure out who's going to be your guy, who's the guy that's going to get the carries leading into the prior weeks, and then getting your quarterback's confidence higher. So I think those are 3 things you get out of a game like this to solidify, your team moving forward. Going against a bad team, even though it's a rival.
I agree. All right. Well, hopefully next week that's what we're talking about is a wonderful win over Michigan State, and hopefully Michigan's 2-0 and heading into their next tough opponent. I think every opponent this year has some level of toughness to it because it's just one of those weird years. Talking about running the table and having to be perfect, this is the year. But when you look at Michigan's schedule, potentially you're looking at a 7-0 Michigan walking into Ohio Stadium.
That's usually how I go, man.
Yep, or they have a bad loss the week before, so we'll see.
It won't be to Michigan State, though.
It won't.
It's usually Michigan State that
probably won't be. It probably won't be that this year. Maybe hopefully for years to come.
All right, so put a ball on it. Like I said, put your scores down, man. Let us know how confident you are in the Michigan football team going against Michigan State, and if there's any Staties in there, how much confidence you got into your squad. Anything can happen, right?
Anything can happen.
Anything can happen. All right, so let's make a pivot over to the NFL. I feel like it was a good week of football there. We leave the week with one undefeated team with the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Seattle Seahawks lost. The Tennessee Titans lost. Like Joe said, we had some injuries. Odell Beckham Jr. got injured. So it was a lot of headlines coming out of this. Let's talk about our individual teams first. How'd you feel about your Brownies?
Cleveland! This is for you!
Baker Mayfield throws 5 touchdowns after throwing an opening interception.
That's right. Talk about
Odell Beckham Jr. his career.
Talk that talk. Disrespectful.
And now the narrative is that Baker Mayfield plays better without Odell Beckham Jr. on the field. So how do you what is that about?
Well, listen. Oh God, Okay, I
Don't
think
be
this
that
has
guy.
more of a no. Well, this has more
Oh
to
yeah,
do with
DPJ. Shout out to.
yeah. Shout out to the Michigan man, DPJ, Cass Tech alum, U of M alum. Well, I guess technically he hasn't graduated from Michigan yet, but former Michigan man with the game-winning touchdown, big time play. I'm not ready to say Baker plays better without OBJ. I think you get let's not get caught up in the narrative that's easy to grab hold of. I guess my Browns are the team that everybody hates this year. It's like every week they're going to be the media darling that we love to pick on. I guess
We
every
just hate
team.
Baker. That's all. We don't hate the Browns. We hate Baker. We hate
Well,
your quarterback.
he threw for 5 touchdowns, 21 straight completions in
The
this
Bengals.
game. This is by far his. You can hate all you want. This is it's one of those you're just never going to give anybody credit. Can always find somebody to pull him down. Call it what you will. This was his best game by far that he's actually had in the NFL. Yes, I think it's interesting that OBJ being out allows for what seems to be this narrative that Baker's better. There's this narrative out there that says Baker needs to feel like the guy, and without OBJ being on the field, it's now the guy. He's the guy. I don't know how much I buy into that, but that's the narrative. I do think it's interesting though that people have that narrative when even with OBJ on the field, it doesn't seem like he was seriously targeted regularly as well. So I don't know that it was like the Calvin Johnson situation where it felt like Matt Stafford always threw it to Calvin Johnson no matter what. I feel like the ball does get spread around. I don't know, but ultimately, out of this game, I'm just happy to see one. We didn't lose to the Bengals, even though we almost did. That would have been a disaster for the psyche of this team. Um, they picked themselves up off the mat. Like the opening interception is like, here we go again. Like, oh my God, another interception. We're going to start another game like this. But then they battled. They battled. The defense didn't play as well as I would have liked, but they battled, and it was nice to see it feel like again that this team is not going to just fold and become. Oh, they started out 4-1. They started out 4-2. Now they're 4-3, and now what? Same old Browns. That was a game where the old Browns would lose. They didn't lose it. I'm a homer in this case, so I could talk about it like this as people are making their comments. Yeah, Burrow is a beast. He definitely took care of the defense for the Browns. I think he's going to take care of a lot of defenses. He's had a really good season, and they're clearly trying to get him the Rookie of the Year. I'm not going with the it was Cincinnati. That's the homer in me. I'm not going with the it was Cincinnati. We showed up when it was time to show up, and we made a big play to win the game. That's it. That's how I feel about it.
Listen, so it was Cincinnati. So I just want you to put I just want you to put that in perspective. Leonardo's correct. It was Cincinnati. But it was a big time throw and a big time catch and a big time moment. So I do give him that. He kept pace with a rookie, so I give him that. The rookie took advantage of their defense just like he took advantage of the other team defense. It was a great game, great classic Battle of Ohio game. So I will give them that pat on the back. The whole no OBJ Baker does better. I don't know how to feel about that. Like I don't know how you play better without your best receiver. So Higgins and DPJ getting more reps. Like I don't understand in the long haul how's that better than Odell Beckham Jr. Like you do more with Odell Beckham Jr. You do you can run more plays with Odell Beckham Jr. You expect more separation with Odell Beckham Jr. than these two. Is Higgins a rookie? I'm not sure. I was gonna call them two rookies, but I don't want to be disrespectful. But it would seem like things would work better with him with Odell on the floor or on the field. But if that's the narrative, young fella, go ahead and run with it. Go ahead and ball out. Show the world that you're the alpha male. Show them that this your team. You don't need nobody else influencing plays. Go do you, and we'll see how it goes.
Right.
So I'm not sure, but I am proud for the young fella, Peoples Jones. I knew he was gonna post that play on his Instagram the second he got into the locker room.
For sure.
But like I said, great throw, great catch, great concentration. That DB should have swatted that down because it went right in between his hands. But great throw, great concentration. Still gave Burrow some time to come out with a miracle. But hey, you can pat him on the back for this one. But just put it in perspective. It was the
Bengals. Okay. I think it's hard to win in the NFL. It's hard to win on the road. They got both of those. And I think that game helps you down the line. Listen, I'm not asking my team to be world beaters this year. I'll say this right now, and I'll say it at the end of the year. I'm only asking for one thing: just make the playoffs. I'm going to be happy to be here. You know how they say, hey, that game ends, they lose that first round game, and it's like, oh, you know what? It just looks like they were happy to be here. You know what? If that is my Cleveland Browns losing in the first round of the playoffs this year, we're just happy to be here. I will be that guy this year, because then I don't have to hear about the streak of all these years of not being in the playoffs. That's over. I don't have to hear about all that.
Where was he in Pittsburgh? Besides his bruised ribs and ego, if he spent as much time practicing with teammates as he does commercials, maybe he wouldn't be so up and down.
So I think the easy knock on people is the practicing commercials knock. I think that is that is to me like the most baseless knock ever. And here's why. They don't make commercials during the season. So it's not like he missed practice to go make the Progressive commercial at the stadium. That's not how this works. So the idea that a man can't make his money on the side of advertising and still be a competitor is like ridiculous. The greatest player of all time in the NBA made some of the greatest commercials ever. Do you know? Money, it's got to be the shoes.
I think the thing is, are the commercials warranted for your level of skill? Like, yes, the greatest players in the world can make commercials, and if they have one bad game, that's fine. But he's had multiple bad games, and we still have to stomach through his commercials as he sucks.
I'm not going to turn this into a GOAT argument, but the commercial started from Mike when he was early Mike. They didn't start when he became GOAT.
But you saw it writing on the wall.
But here's the thing.
He was good.
It's also easy for Progressive to help him make commercials, considering the fact that Progressive is in Cleveland. Like, that is a big business as headquarters in Cleveland. That's an easy grab for them to use their quarterback. On top of that, for him to be somebody who people hate, he is still always talked about a lot. So from an advertising perspective, it makes sense to pull this off. But that's neither here nor there, to be honest with you, because where was he in Pittsburgh? He sucked in Pittsburgh. But again, I'm not trying to be the best team in the division. I'm not trying to me, Pittsburgh and Baltimore are better teams, hands down.
Oh, my God. Lowered expectations.
I'm trying to make the playoffs, okay? Now, I do think that I am interested to see if they keep beating teams as they're supposed to beat. I am interested to see round 2 for Pittsburgh and the round 2 against Baltimore. Here's why. I would like to see the game plan be geared towards the team you have. To me, coming out and putting this dude under center and asking him to drop back and throw the ball is not the way to do it. So I feel like it's better if you come out and you try to run the ball. And I felt like there was flashes of running the ball against Pittsburgh. There was flashes against running the ball in Baltimore. But don't come out and kick a fake punt and it gets blocked. Like, don't come out and do stuff that's going to literally get you put behind the 8 ball, and then you have to play from behind. Because clearly this team is not a get down by 2 or 3 touchdowns and come back team, because they run the ball and you can't catch up running the ball. That's why teams abandon the run all the time. So at the end of the day, I want to see round 2. There's hope for me against both of those teams. If you ask me today, though, are those teams better than Cleveland right now? Absolutely. So they sucked when they played them. First of all, I knew we were going to get blown out against Baltimore week 1. That's just not. No, that was scary to begin with. Did I have some hope going into this Pittsburgh game? I did. But I'm respecting Pittsburgh this week, and you'll see that in my top 5.
Okay, I
Nice
see.
little tease.
I see. All right, so
All right, let's talk Lions, baby.
over to the Lions, man.
Forward down the field.
Listen, for us Lions fans, for those that are still happy about this season,
that are invested in it, unlike
invested and not emotionally jaded like me, it was a win. It was against the Falcons, but it was a win. Ty Gurley scored the first touchdown that ever sealed a loss in NFL history. So I don't know. Like it was a decent game. It was against a bad opponent. You got a win. You got a clutch win out of Matthew Stafford. I just wish those clutch wins would happen against good teams at good times during weeks you needed dubs. But if you want to beat up on sucky teams, beat up on sucky teams.
Well, I mean, in the past, they would lose these games.
In the past, they have lost these games. Same thing to the Falcons. They almost had that 10-second runoff again. What happens a couple years ago when they played the Falcons, when a man didn't score the touchdown, they thought they could go to tape, thought he scored the touchdown, and he really didn't. 10-second runoff, and you lose the game. So it's the same situation, same stadium, same team. It was about to happen all over again, but it got ruled that it was a catch, so they still had the time. You know, Stafford improvises, catches White TJ Houshmandzadeh, touchdown. So great for you, but it doesn't help my narrative. My narrative of getting Patricia fired, getting the GM fired, and getting the number 1 overall pick or a top 2 pick to get the 2 best quarterbacks in the draft, it does not help our narrative. Winning these games does not help the narrative of getting Matthew Stafford out of here, getting a young, fresh quarterback in here with a new nucleus of coaches and general managers. It doesn't help. So if you want to keep going 5-11 every year, getting the 9th and 8th pick and getting a tight end or a DB that don't help, you go keep going around and doing that, and you hold on to Matt Patricia for an extra season that you should have, and you go ahead and just keep sucking and being lower than mid-tier for the rest of your life. Or you can finally do a hard reset on this team and lose games, develop your rookies, ship Stafford out of here, sit him down, whatever you got to do, lose these games, and restart your franchise like every other franchise does. Or, yes, I did say White TJ Houshmandzadeh. I've been calling him that. I've been calling him that since he was drafted. Go back to draft day.
Houshmandzadeh.
Go back to draft day when he got drafted. And I was like, who is this guy? Why would you draft a tight end in the first round? We have all these holes. You know who got a interception to seal the game last week? Simmons for the Arizona Cardinals. It clearly could have been on this team. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, I don't know nothing. It's fine. You got White TJ Houshmandzadeh. He caught a touchdown on tight ends day. They kept saying that all day.
National Tight Ends Day, yeah.
I hated that. But listen, you want to keep being low tier, keep being low tier. Keep being up on these random teams that it takes every second of each quarter just to beat so you can go and get the 8th pick in the draft and mess that up. I wanted to say a different word, but we're a PG show. Go ahead and mess that up again. So I'll see you at draft day when we get some offensive linemen from Wisconsin that we never heard about.
So I feel like as a Lions fan, like there should be a level of like acceptance of what's happening right now, because to me, you guys are 3-3. There's a good chance that you could be that last team getting into the playoffs.
To do what?
To lose. To be happy to be there.
To lose?
Thank you, Leonardo. This is what I wanted to ask. He said Stafford isn't the problem with me. It's the organization not putting players around him. First, build your defensive offensive lines, add players to support this. This is what I've been saying about Lions fans for years. This has been my complaint about this organization, that everybody in this town hates on Matt Stafford. but they never build around Matt Stafford. They've never done it, and they've never built this team the proper way. Matt Stafford, when he is healthy, has played very well. He won you guys a football game this week with his plays. He plays well. You guys are 3-3, and you have a chance to make the playoffs as a 7 seed.
Listen to me. I'm not blaming it all on Matt Stafford. Okay. In his early career, as Kobe said, did we waste Stafford? Probably. But at the same time, he had a once in a generational wide receiver and still did nothing with that. We've had horrible draft picks. You got DeAndre Swift, you got Kerryon Johnson. They tried to get running backs. They don't pan out because our scouting department is horrible. Our GMs are always horrible. You got Kenny Golladay, you got Marvin Jones Jr., you got Danny Amendola. Any other team, those guys would be good receivers.
Hey, Kenny Galladay's probably going to get paid.
Kenny Galladay's going to get paid, but it ain't going to be by the Lions. So we have pieces. I'm not all dumping it on them. We have pieces. I say a hard reset because the pieces don't mesh with what we got going on right now. Every other franchise blows it up and starts it all over again. Or they suck and get a draft pick. The Arizona Cardinals, they went to a Super Bowl. They contended in the playoffs. They lost their quarterback. Then they started sucking, right? They get draft picks. They get defense. They get Hassan Riddick, a guy who we could have got other than Jared Davis. They got Simmons last year other than TJ Houshmandzadeh. They get Kyler Murray with the number 1 overall pick because they sucked the year before after they drafted the other quarterback and they thought he was going to be good, but then they dumped him and got a guy that goes with this era of football. There's ways to build teams. And being mid-suck tier doesn't do that. And we're always mid-sucky tier. You can't build a team every year with the 7th, 8th, 9th pick. And your GMs are always trash because they can't see talent from their asshole. I'm sorry. I wasn't supposed to cuss.
Oh, yeah, we said we were PG.
I'm sorry. But it's frustrating. So rip it all down, kick them all out, and get some people in here that can identify talent. You say we ain't got an offensive line. They paid 3 offensive linemen this year who had great stats. They got TJ Lang 2 years ago. They got the offensive lineman from the Ravens. They overpaid him. Then you got your first-round draft pick, Ragnarok. Don't know whether he want to be a center, guard, or tackle. And you keep him, but he was a first. What pick was he? 7th overall? Yeah, no, I don't even remember that draft, but I'm pretty sure it could have been guys that you could have got before him. You could have had the linebacker from Pittsburgh that played at Michigan. You could have had all these guys that's out here balling week in and week out that we see, but no, you picked a Hawaiian linebacker, whatever, that barely plays every year. No, you pick stupid people, and then you go and you win 4 games, and you get the 8th pick. And then you expect this horrible organization to pick the right person to put around Matthew Stafford. So just rip it all down, burn it down like the dumpster fire that you are, and start anew. From the ashes comes a phoenix, hopefully. So burn it down and figure it out. Get into this era of football. Get you a black, mobile, hybrid quarterback that can do stuff. Come on, man. Who cares about a Pro Bowl? I want to win games in the postseason. I want to beat people we're supposed to beat. It's okay. Darius Slay made the Pro Bowl every year, and they still got rid of him. Like, they don't care. You got to build a culture. You got to build a program. Darius Slay told us this guy was trash from the first day. Of course he wanted to get out of here. He's not an NFL coach. He's a coordinator. Be a coordinator somewhere else. You're not a coach. Shut it down. Go get you a GM and go get you a coach and build an organization from the ground up. Stop trying to be sucky mid-tier. I don't care if we back into the playoffs. All we're going to do is lose, get the 12th pick, and ruin it anyway. And then we stuck with another year of Bob Quinn and Matt Patricia. Then we got to turn on the TV every day and watch the Jets be great again in 3 years because they drafted Trevor Lawrence and who else sucks right now with the second pick that gets Justin Fields, and watch them build their pro. They had 3 years down, and now they building their program back up because they went and got quarterbacks. Go do the formula, man. Jacksonville is going to be great because they got Justin Fields, and the Jets are going to be great because they got Trevor Lawrence in 3 years. Watch what happens.
The Giants too. They might.
Watch what happens.
Minnesota's 1-5.
Watch what happens.
Atlanta's one. You got a lot of teams that are going to be.
That'd even great. That'd be even greater if Justin Fields goes to the Minnesota Vikings and we see him twice a year. Watch him beat our heads in twice a year because y'all don't want to take games. Get out of here, man. Go let Stafford be great somewhere else because he don't fit here. Get up with the times. Let him go to Dallas and win a Super Bowl or whatever. I don't care. But you keep saying we ain't putting nothing around him. There's guys around him. He just don't win. He don't win. He's not a winner. He don't win here.
All right. So
when's the last time he beat anybody of substance? Tell me. Like on this Stafford bandwagon, but he don't beat nobody.
How do we do this to you every week? For you to be not invested in this year's season, you're pretty upset.
I'm not invested. I'm not.
In other news in week 7, so we talked about our teams. What else is there? Whew. Let's hear from the folks. I've been posting them, but let me go back and just get a couple of them out.
Yikes.
My wife said yikes. Leonardo says Stafford isn't the problem. Me, it's the organization not putting players around him. First, build your defense, offensive lines, players to support him. Kobe said we wasted Stafford. He's absolutely not the problem. KJ says if Matt Stafford goes to a different team, he's contending for a Super Bowl. Deuce's Dad 11 believes that Galladay should get paid by the Lions, I'm assuming. Kobe agrees with KJ. Leonardo, which you responded to, said no Pro Bowl offensive lineman and defensive lineman at the same time. Deuce's Dad 11 says Dre has been lionized.
At one point, we had the best defensive line in the league, and they still didn't do nothing with it.
Yes. James says it's great talent at the 8th pick every year. Lions just suck at drafting since the 90s.
You pick Eric Ebron at 9. I'm having Odell Beckham Jr. and Aaron Donald on the board, but you get Eric Ebron.
I'm having flashbacks from that draft during that draft show.
I'm not a Lions fan, okay? I know every person that was in the draft when you pick these horrible people.
So Kobe said, let's talk about Dallas. Oh, man. Talking about a dumpster fire. Mama V says Dre's crying mad. Kobe said, that's a dumpster fire, man. Like, bro, Dallas is bad. Like, I don't know if I thought they were this bad. And it's fun to watch them be this bad, too. Like,
does this help Dak to let them know how much he was keeping them afloat?
Yeah, I think it definitely helps Dak. Pay that man. Broken ankle or not, man, pay that man. Y'all fools for not paying him. Not to say that he doesn't break his ankle even if you had paid him. So let's not, we can't, play the crystal ball there. But at the end of the day, they're really bad. Like, y'all just lost to Washington. Like, this is the standings in the NFC East right now. This is why the Lions fans that still care about the season, not you, should still have hope about getting that last spot. The NFC East right now, Philadelphia is in first place because they have a tie. They're 2-4-1. Washington's 2-5. Dallas is 2-5, and New York is 1-6.
Well, they're going to get 1.
They're going to get 1 for winning the division.
The West is going to get 3 anyway. So.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, the West might get all 14. Yeah, I'm with Kobe. Pay the man now. Like, you talking about some good. You guys need some good press in Dallas. Like, pay the man now. Then you can get some good press. Hey, Dallas went out and did the right by Dak, because right now all we listen to every day is really. I think people are shocked because they have a lot of talent. They suck. And now the talk today was they're mad because people didn't come to Dalton's aid after he got killed.
True.
Dallas flew to DC to kick a field goal.
I saw that meme too. That was funny. Listen, I don't know. Like at this point, why are they a story? Like they haven't been relevant. They're Lions. Like to be honest with you,
they are.
In their respective nature, yeah, they made the playoffs a couple times, but in their allure, which is the Dallas Cowboys, which is Super Bowl or contend for a Super Bowl or bust,
right?
They're Lions. Like, why? There's no reason to talk about them. Like, nobody's checking for them no more. They suck. Dallas is Cleveland
2017.
Yo, like it's just I don't understand why there's still a story. Prominent.
There's a lot on paper there, though, right? I mean, they've got arguably
they got a great receiving core.
Right? I mean, before Dak gets hurt, you have a top 10 quarterback.
You got a top 5 running back.
Right, yeah. So you have pieces, and their O-line's always really good. But, I mean, I think this is a case of clearly the wrong people got hurt. Their whole O-line is done.
I think and culture has a thing about it too, right? Jason Garrett, a lot of accountability with him. So everybody thought he was a problem. So you ship him out. A guy who was exiled of a whole franchise by one of the best quarterbacks ever. Nobody was checking for this guy, but you went and dug him out of the ground. And then he admitted that he lied in his press conference. Did you see the clip? Talk about, I heard you told Jerry Jones you watch every snap of Dallas football. What did you see that you can build on? Hey, listen, guys. I lied. I didn't watch every snap. I was just trying to get the job. You know what I'm saying? He literally lied to your face. You don't know nothing about this team. And now you see he has no accountability for the team. They don't even practice hard. So what camaraderie are they building to help pick the second string quarterback up after you get his head blasted off? So they got more issues than any other. So Dallas to be Dallas. The NFC East has always been horrible. So shout out to whoever gets Justin Fields over there.
Right.
Leonardo said, case in point, Dallas has all the skill players on offense, and that multi-million-dollar line isn't there. You have to have all the skill players. But if you can't control the line of scrimmage, they are not going to win. Kobe said, when will we start blaming injuries this season on COVID and lack of preseason?
I think that's there. I think 2 points, right? Leonardo makes a good point. I think if in defense of Dallas, there are certain positions that you just need to have good players that they don't have them, right? So it's been a snowball effect. Losing magnifies everything. They lost their whole offensive line, which was considered to be one of the best in the NFL, and it gets worse from there. Their defense is a sieve. It's been a sieve all season. However, I think Kobe has a point. It's been a weird season. I think I was looking for more of those soft tissue injuries, though, to blame COVID. Like, seeing a lot of hamstrings getting pulled, stuff like that. I thought that would be, like, kind of the stuff we saw. And you are seeing some of that. I think we know week 2 or week 3, that was horrible. Like, 15 guys got injured. 5 of them played for San Francisco.
Saquon went down. Eckler went down.
Yeah, Saquon went down. Like, so you definitely got to look at that. But guys just didn't have the ability to take care of their bodies. This is a violent sport. I don't know if I'm ready to say, is that why, like, you blame certain teams? Because, look at Carolina. They're competing. They've done some damage here recently, against teams. Even though they're not winning all those games, they're 3-4 right now. But still, they've done really well. So, San Fran, KJ just points out, San Fran's back on a roll a little bit. Players being back from injury. So there's a good mixture. I think it's making for good theater, though. Good theater, good football, because we've seen some really, really good games.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just trying to think. Any other news and notes? I can't harp more about that Sunday night game. That was
classic.
That was epic. DK hawking my man after the pick. I mean, he he hawked him. He was like 10 yards deep off that pick, and he still chased him down.
Still
and
caught him.
Scored. That was the best part. Like if he kept him to a field goal, I was like, man, that's effort right there. But they didn't even score after a fourth down. That was total effort. DK definitely hawked him. That was like my man said it during the broadcast. If they win the Super Bowl, that's gonna be one of the plays that's gonna be in the
absolutely,
bro.
Absolutely.
But are the Cardinals an up and coming team? Do you think teams should be checking for Arizona?
Yes. I mean, you gotta. It's time to. I think it's time to respect them. There's that narrative, right? That like you had the can the coach in the league? You know, because they fired their coach, they bring in the new coach, they go and get this quarterback. Does this system work? Is Kyler Murray too short? You know, you get all these things. They are definitely showing you, and again, it helps to have a top 10 receiver that comes over to play with you as well. But they're definitely legit. You look at some of their numbers. I was just looking here on ESPN.com. They have a plus 57 point differential. The most in their division. 203 points for, 146 points against. They've won 3 in a row. Of course, we know they went into Seattle last night and got that dub. Oh, I'm sorry. No, that was at home. So they got that dub. That's always a tough place to play. They defend you just enough, but they're definitely relying on that defense to play ball. You got to respect them. That's a big win last night. I don't know if they're better than Seattle, but they beat them last night.
Right.
Like I don't know in a playoff game if I'd take them over Seattle, if I'm taking Russ over Kyler or Kyler over Russ. But definitely it was a good game last night, and they definitely have earned respect. They're 5-2. And they've won some tough games, and I think the Seattle game was the validation game. They're saying, hey, we belong. So I think they're a real team.
They definitely got athletes on both sides of the ball. The defense is definitely fast. They got it's hella athletes on that defensive side of the ball. The line could be a little better, but the linebackers and DBs are definitely top tier there. Patrick Peterson got him another pick on his illustrious career. So, but I mean, you saw Russell Wilson take a step back in that MVP race a little bit, throwing 3 interceptions. That defense, like we talked about last week, is super sus. So they're gonna have to fix some things. And now you got Chris Carson down. You can't really rely on that running game. So, what do you do now? DK Metcalf was pretty much shut out because Patrick Peterson was shadowing him the whole game. That's why Tyler Lockett had 200 yards receiving.
Right.
So they definitely have holes. Seattle definitely has holes, and Arizona definitely put themselves right there in contention with anybody in that division. And if Seattle keeps sliding, you can see Arizona, pegging themselves in there because they got a good formula. Run the ball with Kenyon Drake being hurt. Edmonds kind of steps into that role, and D-Hop it seems to be always open. So. I would definitely be scared of Arizona as well. Another team that came off of the bye was the Packers. Your boy A-Rod had himself a game. No Aaron Jones.
I heard that. I heard from somebody else on this show right now that they were, they had a bad game. You just wanted to pin them. Wanted to throw them under the bus right away. I thought that was interesting, but go ahead.
Bus? Did I throw him under the bus?
I mean, you were ready to say, they
got smacked, and I comment on them being smacked.
Yeah, but you were ready to point out that they were like suspect.
I mean, they have.
I don't remember the exact quote, but this was an undefeated team. They got hit hard by a Tampa Bay team, and then they come back this week and get back to being who they are. I mean, I don't.
Exactly, that sums it up. Whatever you're trying to get to, I'm not going to validate.
Okay. I have to go back and get the quote. I'm glad you pointed that out. All
right, so let's get to our top 5s, man. Top 5 list. Comment below What is your top 5 NFL teams right now?
Power rankings.
Power rankings of your top 5 teams. Put them down 1 through 5. Who you got? This is as of right now, but whatever your criteria is, your criteria. I like to do myself as I feel the top 5 team right now. Joel likes to do them as, who's going to win the Super Bowl. But, you can do it however you want to.
Flag on the play. That's not how I like to do it. I'm just not a knee-jerk reaction, Kobe. I'm not a knee-jerk reaction guy. All right? Y'all be knee-jerking on this show. As soon as the team lose, oh, they got holes. Oh, they got this.
You got holes. You get exposed. That's all. All right. Let's go back and forth. 5-1. At number 5, I got a team that wasn't on my top 5 last week.
Okay.
Making an appearance at number 5, I have the Green Bay Packers. Welcome to the top 5, Green Bay. You were out of the top 5 last week. I put you in the top 5 this week out of a great standing. Even without Aaron Jones, you guys did what you had to do. Showed why you were a great team. Still got some stuff to figure out on the back end defensively. But that's pretty much it. A-Rod, pulled him out from the gutter and got him back on my top 5.
Yeah, Devontae's back and healthy, right? Yep. He was back last week. The timing was off a little bit, but yeah, he balled out this week. They played Houston. People would say, well, Houston's having a down year. A lot of people would still argue that quarterback for Houston is pretty doggone good. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you there with Green Bay being back in your top 5. I don't see an argument there. I think for me, I didn't let them back in. I had them in last week. They fell out because I felt like
they fell out after a win.
Yeah, because I felt like there's a team that, remember I had them at 5, I think, last week. I got to start right. I'll keep track, so we'll see how it changes from week to week. And to me, I think they got jumped by a team. So there was a team I didn't have in my top 5 last week that I have this week. They're not even at number 5. Actually, my number 5 this week is Tennessee. So even with Tennessee losing, I looked at the way they lost that game. Pittsburgh came out, punched them in the mouth.
That's a 2-5.
Yeah, they're falling from 2 down to 5. But Tennessee came back, man. Tennessee held strong. Defense hung in there long enough for the offense to get going. I felt like also the running game got going. Like they just stayed with that running game, and then finally they started to wear on Pittsburgh a little bit. And I actually liked how they ended up fighting in that game. And they clearly need another kicker. The guy has had a good career, but
give it up, man. Give it up.
This hasn't been his year at all. So, but I have them at my 5 because I still think that's a dangerous football team in Tennessee. I think you saw arguably the top 2 teams. I think you can argue Baltimore is maybe in there as well. But I think you saw arguably the top 2 teams in the AFC, or definitely one of the top 3 teams in the AFC in that game. So I have Tennessee at 5.
All right, number 4.
So at 4, I'm gonna end up biting my tongue here on this one because I just brought them up. But I have them here because I didn't move them and they had a bye week. I still feel like their defense is dangerous. I still feel like Lamar is dangerous. So I have Baltimore at number 4. I just think that the hard-nosed John Harbaugh coach teams, they're always dangerous. I think this week is a deciding week for them. Them and Pittsburgh, that's the game this week. That's the game everybody's going to be talking about. I think this will be a week that decides whether or not they stay in my top 5. But I have them there right now, and I have them there number 4, having been on a bye week. Let's see if they get healthy. It sucked because a couple of their players were not they're on my bench this week because they're on a bye. But I squeaked out a win this week against Tavario.
I needed you to do that. Thank
I
you.
know. 83-79. I'm winning right now. I got 2 players tonight.
Listen, he called me. He was like, "Man, my team was up before." I was like, "Bro, I wasn't rooting for you anyway. It's all good."
Oh man, I should have picked up the tight end from Cleveland, dude. I had him. I was about to press claim, and I went with the freaking tight end from Dallas.
We had like a 10-minute conversation about how you dusted off Giovanni Bernard and beat him with.
Bro, I made that was a last second pickup because Aaron Jones was out. Once I got the Shefty update, I picked up I was like, I was like, Gio's available? Let me get him right now.
Oh my
Thank you,
God.
Gio. He got me 19.
It was like he dusted him off the Wayback Machine and hit you with a hot 15. Yo, that's gotta suck.
Yes, sir. And a late touchdown in that game too.
Oh man.
So I was rooting for him and against him at the same time. That is the worst when the guys you need to perform on your fantasy team are playing against the team that you want to win.
True story. Yeah, that was funny.
All right, who's your number 4?
I don't have the Ravens on my list.
Okay.
One thing about the Ravens, man, I know last year, and I found myself, I was going to say this earlier, I found myself not missing them. Like, that's how much they've been, like, not underperforming this year. Like, how that not flashy, they've been. Like, last year, you was checking for every Ravens game, every highlight, every score. This year, it's like, well, okay, the Ravens was on a bye, and the league still survived without the Ravens playing.
Right.
So, definitely with a win against Pittsburgh, they can definitely move up. But I don't have the Ravens on my radar this week. For 4, I put the Titans, man. The Titans fell for me too. I put them at number 4. They're still in the top 5 because they did play a good game against the Pittsburgh Steelers. They could have won if the kicker just made a kick. It was just that simple for them. They still have a great run game. They still have a good defense. They still have a serviceable quarterback. So nothing really changed about them fundamentally or the way they play. It was just they lost the game, so you had to drop. So it was just easy as that for me about the Tennessee Titans. No real knock on them because they could have easily have won the game as much as Pittsburgh won the game.
All right. I'm with you.
Number 3, I got Tampa Bay. Let's go Bucks. Tom Brady and the Buccaneers. Let's go, baby. You put up another good game. Tom was dishing dimes. Jones was running that thing. Fournette was running that thing. They starting to get it going now. They starting to get it churning, get it moving, trying to figure out what kind of team they are. Great play calling. Tom is looking good, keeping them off his back with the offensive line. Their defensive line is great. And Dominic Sue was in there running that thing.
And the play got called back.
Yeah, thought he was going to score him a touchdown, but all that effort for nothing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got Tampa Bay moving up. They were my number 5 team last week, so I'm moving up to number 3 after that win because they're looking like they might be some cream riders to the top in the NFC. So you gotta look out for Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah, I did not have the Bucks on my list last week. I had them at like 5. At 6. I was like, they're that one slot away, 6 and 7. Because my biggest thing for me with them was consistency. Like, I saw what they did to Green Bay, and the hype machine was going. It was going strong. But like, I wasn't ready to jump on that bandwagon because I wanted to see them do it. Because to me, prior to that Green Bay game, they were up and down, and so I wanted to see them be better. This week, they dominated that game. And they did it in different ways. Yes, they ran it. They ran that thing. He threw that thing. He dropped some dimes. I think it's Scotty Miller, in the back end of the end zone. And then that defense, legit. Like, the speed at linebacker is legit. And so seeing that happen again, I'm like, okay, now I'm starting to give this team some respect. And I agree with you, sir. Coming in at number 3 on my list, Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
6-3. I love it. What a jump.
Yep. Coming in at number 3 is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That team right there looks very dangerous. If they keep that up, I think you've got yourself a contender in the NFC.
Hey, look at you. Look at you coming to your senses. And now they got Antonio Brown, baby. Antonio Brown is in camp. Listen, so when I cut on the computer that morning and it was talking about Antonio Brown
To
might go to
Seattle.
the Seahawks,
Yes.
I picked him up immediately.
Oh, you did?
I picked him up immediately.
I was gonna check to see who got him.
I picked him up immediately, right? And then I
Mm-hmm.
went for a walk, and then I saw that he signed with the Buccaneers. I was like, this is even better. You know what? And then Rio texted, he was like, I went to go get him, and I saw you got him 3 hours before I even thought about it. I said, yeah, you know, I scooped him up. So we're going to see what he do. But AB with Godwin and Evans, Scotty Miller, and Gronk, and just all those weapons. This is a smorgasbord that Tom Brady has never had.
That's true.
So Tom Brady with all these weapons, if that offensive line can keep him upright and AB don't pollute that locker room, this is going to be a scary team.
Yeah, I'm concerned about just a small bit touches. You add AB, somebody's not going to get the ball in that receiving core. So I feel like Scotty Miller's the odd man out.
He might not.
Well, I think he's done a good job, but
it's the slot.
Yeah, but AB's. I mean, you're gonna put AB on the other side, right? With Evans.
Godwin is the guy that loses touches.
Yes, yeah. I think you're gonna go with Godwin, AB, and Evans because it was Evans and Godwin, and then Scotty just showed up.
Unless you're moving Godwin to the slot, but Scotty's the kind of receiver that Brady likes.
True.
So if Godwin can play the slot, that's fine because AB is an X or Y. He ain't no slot guy.
Right.
So and Evans is solidified X on that team. So you gotta figure it out.
Yeah, I think they have to figure that out because you also saw something that you hadn't seen in a while. Gronk was really involved.
Yeah.
So
they were talking about that too, like, you know, a year off of football, no preseason. He pretty much had 4 or 5 games to get his legs up under him, learning the playbook and trying to be acclimated with a new offense. And now he might be back to Gronk status.
Yeah, so, I agree.
You know, with the injury to OJ Howard, you never know. More opportunities for him. So Tampa Bay is definitely rolling. Tampa Bay is definitely on the come up. So that's both our number threes. Is it on me or on you? Number two?
It's on me. Number two. This is a respect move right here. Like
they coming down, baby. They coming down.
I had to move this team up. I had to move this team up into the number 2 slot after going into Tennessee and winning this game. The Pittsburgh Steelers are my number 2 team. They are arguably love saying that because it allows me to argue. Arguably the best team in the AFC. Definitely that's a big win. The offense is multi-talented. They can run it and throw it. Even Ebron had a couple of big catches. So that just annoys the heck out of you, I know. Yes. Can Roethlisberger stay healthy? That's, I wonder. Is there an injury that happens to this team that throws them off? Defensively, they still played well without Devin Bush. Their back end is really good. Their scheme is good. And their defensive line is real strong. So, I think that win against Tennessee is a big-time win. And they turned the ball over 3 times and found a way to win it. And that's hard to do in the NFL. So I had to go ahead and give them their respect and bring them up to the number 2 slot. As a Browns fan, it pains me to say this, but the Pittsburgh Steelers are my number 2 team.
You seem like a AFC North realist anyway, so don't pay that much.
Yeah, right.
You got 2 AFC North teams in your top 5, so
yes.
You already know.
Oh gosh. All right, well, so what you got?
I thought we were going to be on the same accord here.
Nope.
At number 2, I'll put Kansas City, man. I know a lot of people put them number 1. They are the all-around best football team in the league. but I like to go week, and week by week tells me that Pittsburgh won a huge game. They went into Tennessee, right?
Yep.
Yeah, they went into Tennessee, beat a good Tennessee Titans team. They beat a top 5 team, as we both agree they are, and got out there with a dub. And you're right, all 3 levels, they work well. Special kicking, special defense, offense, coaching. They do good. I mean, Ben Roethlisberger wasn't, the detriment to the team. They found it seems like they're finding a new receiver every 2 weeks. R.I.P. Chase Claypool. You was hot for a couple weeks.
Don't say that. Don't say that. You only got me 1 fantasy point this week, but don't say that. I need him to keep performing.
So it seems like another guy just stepped into those shoes. They still got Juju. James Conner still running that thing. So they got the formula. They're an old veteran team. They know how to win games. They know how to grind out games. And winning that game against Tennessee definitely vaulted them. I had them 4th last week. No. I'm talking about. I already gave you my number 1. Didn't I say the Chiefs number 2? All right.
Yeah, you picked. You're talking about the Chiefs being number 2.
So why did I start talking about the
You're not. You're still talking about the Steelers. Oh yeah, you're talking about the Steelers. I don't know why.
I don't know why I'm talking about the Steelers. But yeah, the Chiefs are number 2 because they had chinks in the armor, man. I mean, that defense, against Denver, Chubb got off. You saw, they have issues at the tackle position. So, it was a snowy, rainy, nasty game. So they just ran that thing. But I guess I already told you who my number 1 team was. So I'll just go straight to that, which is Pittsburgh. So I'm going Pittsburgh 1 and Kansas City 2, just because the strength of the opponent each team played. The Steelers played a better opponent. They got the dub, so I moved them to number 1. Kansas City, I think they were number 2 for me anyway, like that last week. So, so they stay where they at, and Seattle dropped out of my top 5 this week.
Okay. Yeah, my number 1 is Kansas City, as you could kind of tell. They were my number 1 last week. They're still my number 1 this week. They ran through Denver, and it's not just what they're doing and the team they're playing. It's just how they're doing it. They went up there, snow-covered field. Oh, you can't throw the ball in this weather. They don't care. Oh, you can run the ball. Yeah, they can run the ball. Clyde Edwards-Helaire had another great game. And I just think that team is just they're yeah. I mean, it's dangerous, man. Like that team to me right now, they look unstoppable, and they're better than they were last year because to me they can run the ball legitimately now. Like they can win games with the run, whereas in the past they ran it just to throw it. These guys can actually say, okay, no problem. That's how you want to play us. I heard the commentator say on the game yesterday, they play the numbers game. If you put 7, 8 in the box, no problem, we'll throw it. If you want to play us for the pass, no problem, we'll run it. And I think that's just dangerous. And their defense is still very opportunistic. They never are that top 5 defense, but they always find a way to get a turnover, a pick 6, a fumble recovery. Yeah, they do. They definitely feast on bad teams. So that's my number 1 is Kansas City. So my top 5 is Kansas City, Pittsburgh, Tampa Bay, Baltimore, Tennessee.
All right. Kaden had Chiefs, Steelers, Ravens, Seattle, Green Bay. Leonardo had Kansas City, Pittsburgh, Tennessee, Tampa Bay, Baltimore. Everybody got Baltimore on their top 5 still, even due to a bye week. So
yeah, that's interesting.
I
thought I was gonna get killed for that.
Maybe my respect level is too low. I don't know. We'll see. Well, this is definitely the week to figure out, who's real and who ain't between Baltimore and Pittsburgh.
Right.
All right. Well, anything else on the NFL side before we crystal ball it?
Nope. I think that's it. Right now, what time is it? 8:29. Let's check the score of that game tonight. It's you got Chicago at the Rams.
And it is 0-0.
0-0.
0-0 with 9:23 left in the first. Rams have the ball.
The Rams are just so inconsistent.
I need 14 points out of Jimmy Graham.
I've already won. I'm excited.
DK
I'm
did not
1-5 in
help me.
fantasy, and I'm gonna win.
DK did not help me at all. I mean, he helped me a smidge, but he didn't have a DK game.
Yeah, this was a tough fantasy weekend.
I thought Vegas was going to lose, and then you look up, and Tyler Lockett gives him 50.
Dang. So sorry. So sorry. Well, I got number 1 or 2 on the waiver wire this week, so I have my pick of the litter.
Listen, I need Rio lose, Vegas lose. So if I lose, it's cool. We all back in this pack together. But now I got to win since Vegas won, so I can stay afloat. All right. So my crystal ball prediction. I actually researched it, looked it up, and have a clear, concise thought on my crystal ball prediction. I'm not freeballing this one.
Okay.
My crystal ball prediction is by the next show, Cam Newton's going to be on the bench.
Ooh. You think the benching is permanent?
I think the benching will be situational because he's just going to play that bad. He played bad. I mean, he played bad last week. And now they got Buffalo coming up. Division rival. They definitely want to put the smackdown on New England. Good defense. Not a lot of weapons. I think we see Hoyer and Stidham in this game, and Cam Newton sits down going into the next week where Cam Newton is in jeopardy of losing his starting position.
Wow.
I think Bill, it's a 60-40 thing for me, because I think Bill Belichick really, really likes Cam Newton, and he doesn't want to do that to his career to where he would have to bench him. But I think it's going to be that obvious to where a change will need to be made.
Huh. Your crystal ball is really good this week.
I did work.
That's a good one.
I did research.
My crystal ball sucks this week.
Yeah, Leonard's right. He said himself his job was in jeopardy, so he got to perform. I don't know what's wrong with Cam. We can't make no more excuses for him. This was a situation where you went to a great head coach, maybe not the best offensive weapons around you, but you never had great offensive weapons.
Yeah, never. Yeah.
You won games. So, but you're only throwing 14, 15 passes a game. So they obviously see something about you too. So,
well, so that's what I was going to throw out there, though. I don't know if he's in the right scheme. I know you think 14, 15 passes a game might suggest that they see something out of him. But I don't know that that's true. I think they're trying to force what they think his style is into their system. And I think that there's an opportunity to them to get him in a rhythm. It feels like they start out the game trying to be the old Patriots, instead of making it work for what does he like to do? What plays does he like to run? What plays does he like to call? It's almost it feels like if they're lather him up a little bit, kind of get him going a little bit.
I feel like they catered him a lot. I mean,
a lot
of RPOs and the quarterback running. I feel like they catered.
It feels weird. It feels weird to me.
I think that was a knock on New England as a whole. They didn't conform to players. Players conform to them.
Well, I think we're finding out, is it the system or was it the players? I think Brady would argue it was the players.
Brady definitely looks good now.
So, I don't know. A lot of people felt it's the Patriots, so he should be successful because it's the Patriots, right? I think that was an easy narrative to take. You feel like good coaching, good OC, good system, but maybe the others around him are not even as good as the others were in Carolina. I don't know. It just feels weird. I'm not saying I don't agree. I just think it feels something does seem off about it. I don't know if I'm ready to blame Cam yet.
Definitely, the running back crop is garbage.
Yeah.
The receiving crop is pretty bad as well. I mean, Edelman's obviously hurt. His knee, he ain't what he used to be, 4 or 5 years ago. N'Keal Harris seems like a bust so far. You can't really name no other real receiver on that team, let alone the tight ends. So there's no real weapons and there's no real separation. But
Yeah.
watching that game, he's driving the ball into the ground.
Yeah, he did make some bad throws.
He's he's just ripping it, that deep interception. Like he just loaded up and just chucked the thing. Like he overthrew his receiver by 5 yards. So he don't look good.
Yeah, I agree. Well, my crystal ball is easy. I didn't put a lot of thought into it because I feel like this is going to be a huge story come Monday when we're back on the show again. Believe it or not, it might actually be an old story by then. But my crystal ball is that the Dodgers are finally going to win. Like, I think they're finally going to win a World Series. They're up 3-2. Tampa Bay has definitely fought really, really hard in this series, but I feel like the Dodgers are going to pull it out. And you'll have two of the major sports franchises with championships in the city of LA. So I think that'll be a very big story that will take place. They're going into Game 6. I believe, matter of fact, is Game 6 tonight? Why do I feel like Game 6 is tonight?
I don't see no scoreboard for tonight.
Maybe it's not tonight. Then it's tomorrow. Game 6 is tomorrow. But so I feel like they're going to be. Tampa Bay's going to put up a fight, but I feel like the Dodgers are just going to be too much. It's going to overwhelm, and they're going to win a World Series, and then we're going to be down to college football and NFL football. That's all we'll have. We're slowly running out of sports. This sucks.
You think the Rays going to push a Game 7?
I actually think the Rays are going to push a Game 7, but I think that finally the Dodgers win and they get it taken care of.
8-3, 6-4, 6-2, 8-7, 4-2. Looks like when the Dodgers win, they win.
Right. Yeah, they play again tomorrow night on Fox. So that's my crystal ball. Easy breezy.
Easy breezy, beautiful cover girl. All right. Well, we appreciate our sponsors here at Academy Sports Show. If you'd like to be a sponsor, contributor, or you would just like to reach out to the show, hit us up at academysportshow@gmail.com. If you know anybody, any athletes or anything like that, you want to be a spotlight on the show because we got a spotlight getting ready to come up. If you got some tape you want to show, if you want to get some highlights off, let us know. And we'll go ahead and vet that and let you know if we'll get you on the show. So all that goes to academysportshow@gmail.com. And we appreciate our sponsors here at Academy Sports Show, one being Mr. Mike Vaughn's Plumbing. Vaughn's Plumbing, both licensed and insured, provides top quality services at great prices. Whether it's just getting up to cold, waterproofing, or daily home services, we suggest you call the man.
313-304-7786.
VaughnsPlumbing.com. It gives you a map of all the areas that they service, as well as the services that they provide. But we suggest you call the man.
313-304-7786.
That man right there is the real MVP. Listen, I'll be seeing his stuff everywhere. Like
I know.
Like he is the man of the community. He be
right.
Life be busting. I watched Cephas YouTube video about his refrigerator. Like he just be helping everybody. If you need a family plumber, he's like a dentist. He's a family plumber. He will help Mama and them. Call Mike Voss Plumbing.
Right. All right. So we have a special segment this week. Little spotlight.
You shoot that text? He told you to text him.
Oh, thank you for saying that.
Listen, we appreciate our young athletes, man. The more and more I get into this coaching game, the more and more I want to see the kids that I helped, I would like to say, put a drop in the bucket of their realm of playing football. I would love to see tape and watch and seeing how they grow from the players they used to be, from the players they're going to be. And I know this is a guy that's near and dear to the family's heart. I didn't get to see him play as a youngster, but I do enjoy watching his film now as a high school athlete. And I know, Joe, this warms your heart as well, seeing the kid that you helped groom get to this point.
Absolutely. And, you know what? That was a perfect segue, and I got the wrong video up. This is BJ. That was a perfect segue. This is BJ. This is BJ's film. So to add to that, right? Near and dear to the fam. Brian Weathersby Jr. We know him as BJ. What we wanted to do this week is we got a lot going on. So we reached out to a few of the youngsters, asked them to send over some film because they had some big weeks. I'm still waiting to hear back from Trey so I can get his film. But here's some film from BJ. So we're showing some high school love this week. Um, you'll see he's in the backfield. That's him getting the ball.
Star running back, good half step.
Yeah, freshman,
All right.
Parkway
Freshman running back.
Christian.
Parkway Christian, the way his dad described it is that this was like a rivalry game. This was a game that they really wanted and really needed for their playoff seeding. And it looks like BJ showed up and showed out, man. That inside zone's working there. Good cutback against the grain. Great yards. He's always been a tough runner. He's always been an extra yard back. Good stutter step. He's always been a reliable running back. And you can see it just transition into the high school game. Good lead block in there, touchdown. The kid he's always been a bull. He's always been a short-handed guy. Looks like the defense getting set late. Go ahead and take advantage of that.
Ooh, good vision there.
Right into the hole where my man was supposed to be holed up.
Yeah, I must say that's the hole he ended up hitting right there.
Yep. Linebacker creeping up on this one. Backs out. Swing pass. Open field. Give him a step. Take the yards, young fella. Get off me. So he had a good game. I think his overall stats, he was definitely over 100 scrimmage yards. He had 3 touchdowns in this game. And he did his thing. You always want to ball out against your rivals.
Absolutely. So that's showing some love to the youngster. BJ over at Parkway Christian. Now this next guy, as Dre just pointed out, is definitely near and dear. He's actually in our live feed tonight. He's in our chat. The one that everybody keeps calling Caden Whitman. We know him as KJ.
I didn't know if we was using family names here.
Yeah, and it's funny because so apparently he's watching from Facebook and from YouTube. So I don't know how that's working, but it's going to work. But this was he was one of my first kids, pretty much to be coached, and as he watching him grow and watching him develop, and getting closer and closer. His dad, Kevin Whitman, many of you know, actually is how I got started in coaching. And so now we've gotten close enough to where I call this one my nephew. So him and his brother, you know, watching them play as they come up. But had the privilege of going to the Lanphier Hazel Park game last week, or this past weekend, and it was his senior night, and he balled out. All right, 3 interceptions, a couple of nice returns, or kickoff, a couple of nice plays on offense. But the thing that I thought stood out amazed me is in his 3 picks, he definitely was covering the best kid on the other team. He had more yards than the other team in pick return yardage than the other team had on offense. Which was interesting. But he literally changed this game. Hazel Park was kind of controlling the game. Lanphier was playing it real safe. Hazel Park was controlling the game. And I just want to take a moment and show this one highlight, because he has been a kid who has always, for the most part, been undersized. But he's always been fast, a lot of heart. Back when I had him at the JV level of youth football, he was my cover guy. He was the captain of the defense. He was the back end. He was the safety. You couldn't throw on us because of him. And I had Trey at the other safety, who was kind of the viper of the defense. He was the guy that was doing all the blitzing. Offensively, if I ever ran a counter, it was a touchdown just because of this guy. But a lot of heart, leader on the team, even a little crazy at times, even go a little nuts and could get into trouble with his attitude.
Blood.
He got that Whitman blood for sure. But so I just want to give that segue, maybe give his dad a chance to get online to be able to see this. But we want to go ahead and show this clip of him in this game here. Check this out. I was up in the stands for this. This was awesome.
Is it really double zeros on the clock, though?
Yep. No. Get off me. Let's watch that again. Pick. Get off me, young man. And let's take it to the house. Just in case you want to hit me, I'm gonna get to that pylon. So we see it one more time. No, you know those high school games that don't have the clock on the screen.
That's a duck, man. Get off me. Outrun them all. Great play.
Yeah, man. So by this time, I had actually, the funny thing was he had just had a pick and he got caught from behind, like trying to return it for a touchdown. If I remember correctly, it was either a pick or a kick, maybe the kickoff return. But he had got caught from behind. He came over to the sideline. He was gassed, right? So of course, being an uncle, I yelled down from the sideline, "Hey, Five, you weren't supposed to get caught." He's like, he throwing his hands up like, "Come on, man," So then after he makes that play, he's on the sideline getting all the love. He looks back up in the crowd like, "How you like that?" Yeah, I was like, "Respect, respect, respect." Yep. So it was awesome, man. We've got a chance to go see BJ play and go see KJ play. So it's just, like you said, it's just cool to see kids that you've had be a part of your coaching tree and you've had a chance to have an impact on. And we hope to continue to see them excel at the higher level. So if you guys want to see anything online, we're going to try to do this every week, man. Just send over, like you heard Dre say, send over your highlights. And we'll pub, man, throw out these youngsters, man, because right now we don't get to go see them play. We usually would make our rounds and go see a lot of our kids play, but this year we didn't get a chance to do that. So it'd be cool to just send them over to us so we could pub everybody. So don't forget, you can shoot it to us at academysportshow@gmail.com. We'll be happy to post it, share them, have a little segment at the end, because right now all we're doing is talking football. Don't forget, you can hit us up on IG at Dre_on-air or at JWillow2, or hit us up on YouTube at Academy Sports Show. If you want to check out the show, always click that bell, subscribe, make sure you know when we're going live. A lot of people, it's cool to see everybody kind of join us as soon as we go live. We literally see people pouring into our live feed. And if you listen to us out there in podcast land, we appreciate you. You can always check us out on the Apple Podcast Purple app, or you can listen to us on SoundCloud.com. So big shout out to all the youngsters, man. Big shout out to everybody joining us in the live feed tonight. We always appreciate it. KJ said he had an Alma visit today, so he's getting that love now. Put it on Twitter, man. Everybody now they want to talk to you.
Sport athlete, baby.
Yes, sir. So congrats, man. Y'all haven't even seen my man on the baseball diamond. He's a killer out there and on the basketball court. So big ups, man, to BJ, to KJ, and appreciate everybody joining us tonight in the live feed. Appreciate y'all showing us love.
Most definitely. And the best way to help the show grow is to share. So whatever way you're watching it, if you're on Facebook Live or whether you're on YouTube, man, just share the link. Share it in your Twitter file. Share it in your Facebook file. Just share it. Show it to a friend. And we expect more people into the feed. And the more people help us grow, the more comments. And the longer the show goes. Like, it's almost 2 hours today.
Yes, it
is. But like I said, the more people that come in, it gives us more content. Basketball is done. Baseball is getting ready to end. So, we're real college heavy, about to go forward. A lot of football coming in. Hopefully college basketball starts. So you never know. If you got some questions or any other topics you would like us to handle, we did a little UFC today as well. Like Joe said, hit us up on our handles there on the screen at Dre_on-air and at JWillow2. All right, man. We appreciate everybody. On behalf of myself, Andre Douglas, Joel Williams.
Have a great week, everybody. We will see you guys next week, 7:00 p.m. Monday night, right here on the Academy Sports Show.
Have a good day. Have a good week.